I believe that peptides are one of the ways that we will achieve like health span into the hundreds. I think we're approaching an area where men are finding that they need to level up. They're realizing that the way that they've done things in the past isn't going to be good for them going forward. Testosterone levels are dropping. Their hormones are changing because of that. Their actions, their behaviors, their way that they show up in the world shifts when your hormones are shifting.
Can you talk about porn and what it's doing?
There's literally not a single positive benefit from watching pornography. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to mankind.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the show. I'm super excited for today's guest, Jackson Hightower. You might be familiar with him from his Instagram clips that have gone viral a million times. He's on Instagram at GetNaturalJackson. He brings together clinical diagnostics, sexual health, personal development, peptide therapy to help high performers reach their full potential physically, emotionally, energetically, psychologically. And in this episode, I was super excited to dive deep with him on his journey, his health journey. We talk about his journey with Lyme, mold, heavy metals. We talk all about men's sexual health. We talk about porn and how it's the worst thing, according to him, to ever come upon humanity. We talk about peptide therapy, which I was really excited about because I haven't had somebody on the show to talk about peptides, and they are such a hot topic right now. And what I love about Jackson is he really brings together like a truly holistic perspective, and he has such expertise in these areas where I feel like a lot of people are talking a lot about it, but they don't actually have the background and the knowledge and the science and the real life experience to back it up. So I was super grateful that he came on the show and shared so much. I feel like this is really relevant in today's day and age. So if you're curious about porn and peptides, this one is for you. So how do you feel the energy is in San Diego compared to Miami?
It is more grounded. Well, I'll answer Miami.
Yeah.
It's more grounded. There's more like flow. Maybe that's from the ocean and the nature, but the mountains, there's something about it is just, I feel it's there. Look, Miami's a great place. I feel very nebulous in Miami, personally. It's on my Neptune line.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like.
This is on my Neptune line.
Interesting.
So I don't feel grounded at all.
Interesting.
I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Southern California coast for me is on my sun line. So it's
amazing.
like Santa Barbara to San Diego. Anywhere sort of in that range is better for me, you know. But yeah, it feels good, and it's in flow, and the people are open, they're kind, there's no pretension, which I really appreciate. I've been in New York, LA, you know, Miami. It's difficult sometimes to like connect, you know. Here it's like come as you are.
It's so interesting because if you want to say it's astrology or just personality or like energy, whatever, how you can have such a different experience in different cities. Like part of why I'm leaving is because I actually find the opposite here.
Interesting.
Like LA is a place where I've always felt like I've made like real deep connections, and I the people I've connected with are like not pretentious. Like obviously there's that there, but that's just not who I've connected with, and I've always felt like much more community there than I have here, and I've been here 7 years, you know, and like but how much of that is just like my resonance? Like, I don't know. Right.
No. Yeah.
But
we never know.
Yeah.
And also like, it's good to switch it up and, you know, go with what our gut is telling us. And also like what you do is very, very right for a lot of folks that live up there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That are looking for like, maybe they're famous or whatever it is, but like they probably need some real grounding, you know what I mean?
Fair.
And like some spiritual like work that's going to keep them, because, you know, being famous is a weird thing.
Well, the vibe up there is very much like, tell me what to do and I'll do it, and I won't have any excuses. I'll get it done. And I love that type of person, because I'm just like this, and they just do it. They get results on to the next. Down here, it's a lot more. There's a lot more reasons why you can't. There's a lot more. I don't know if it's like you're more in nature, so you have more time to think and get in your own way, versus up there, it's just so fast. Like you don't have room for that. With what I do, it's just preferable up
that's
there.
Beautiful. That's great.
Yeah, but for what you do, I feel like it's better here.
Could be better here. Yeah. I mean, a lot of it, you know, I do online.
Yeah.
You know, it's mostly Zoom and whatnot.
But still for connections and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, like guys that want to optimize and want to get to the next
Yeah.
level. I think it's great to be able to have an outlet in person so they can see you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But also, like, I'll go to LA and do stuff. I'll be doing podcasts there. I'll be going and doing events there because it's
Yeah.
a major hub.
It's easy back and
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been interesting for me, over the last like 7 years I've been here. I feel like in the last year especially, there's so many more men's groups popping up, and so many more men are trying to have that conversation, which I think is super cool.
Yeah.
And like different angles of that conversation, obviously. But I don't know if that's because people are finding out more about everything going on in the health space, like they're having issues there, or if it's because, you have a breakup that just destroys you and you realize I gotta figure this out. Like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Like, do you have a thought on that?
I have an idea.
Yeah. What's your idea?
So we're the last 40 or 50 years, we're approaching a space where the traditional dynamic of a relationship is completely dissolving. Women and mothers are able to make as much, if not significantly more money than men, which creates the ability for them to be completely independent, which means that they need less from men, which means that they're making decisions which are in their own best interests, not needing to be in a partnership for the financial security. Men are in a position where they are needed less, so they need to step up emotionally, spiritually, conscious, whatever it is, right? Like, yeah, it's not just about making money anymore. Like, you got to bring add another value to the table. I think that's what it is. And it's never happened before in history where we've had this, well, maybe way back, but like the dynamic is significantly changing. And so men are like, okay, well, this is breaking and I don't necessarily know how to connect. She doesn't need me. If a man doesn't feel needed in some way, he's like lost.
Yeah.
He's like, why would I want to be with this person if they don't need me in some way? And also the woman says, oh, I don't need him in this way anymore. I want to find someone that's really right for me. So I think we're approaching an area where men are finding that they need to level up. And they're realizing that the way that they've done things in the past isn't going to be good for them going forward.
Yeah.
So I think, that's just my perspective on one little area. But yeah, it affects, health is being affected. Testosterone levels are dropping. Their hormones are changing because of that. Their actions, their behaviors, their way that they show up in the world shifts when your hormones are shifting.
Yeah.
So I think that, men are in a tough spot right now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that men are needed less. I just think they're needed differently.
Sure.
Right?
Sure, yeah.
Because women are also having this problem where they want to go with that storyline. Like, I need men less, which isn't true.
Right.
Right? Like, even if you make a lot of money, you still need someone who can hold a provider frame energetically, right? And like emotionally. And like, I also think there's a very real biological primal aspect of like, we are attracted to people who are healthy, for the purpose of procreation.
Yeah.
And so the conversation is changing because, on both sides, like people are getting less and less healthy, right? We have all kinds of hormone issues. And I think that's a huge part of also what's going on, like as a female, right? Like kind of navigating, it's like money's not enough.
Right.
Right. It's not actually adding anything, but like, can you be a good father? And that's biological, that's energetic, that's emotional. There's so many other levels to that.
Yeah.
So, I think honestly, men are needed even more.
Well, I would like to think that they are needed more, but there's also a realm where it's like, well, we don't need the men because we have this, but they don't realize that they're missing a lot.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the what do we call it? Not the shadow side of the feminine. Like the elevated versus the non-elevated feminine, right?
Yeah.
But yes, of course, we all need each other.
Yeah.
But they just don't need to make the decisions in the same way that they used to.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. The hormone thing, the biological imperative of like connectivity on that front. The toxins in our environments are shifting things significantly. And here's the other thing. Like, I talk about this a lot. You can't biohack or emote your hormones. Your hormones dictate your entire life. So if our hormones are shifting and they're becoming more feminine, because they are, low testosterone is the masculine hormone. It makes us masculine in men. There have more xenoestrogens and fake estrogens in our body, which increases our levels of estrogens. We're going to make very different decisions, right? We may not be the typical masculine provider, structure, container, rooted, grounded that women were once looking for. So things are really shifting.
Can you give an example of how somebody, like an example of how a decision would be different? Just like to ground that in.
When you're first starting to date someone, making the decision to do something, regardless of what the woman may or may not want to do, rather than saying, oh, I don't want to be wrong and I want to pick the wrong thing, so I'm going to like be wishy-washy or let her decide. I think at the end of the day, a woman doesn't care necessarily what y'all do. She just cares that something that you're guiding and decision-making process. So that's sort of a simple example in a dating structure, where I think that most women would appreciate the initiative of, hey, we're going to do this. And if it's a hard no for you, the woman will tell the guy, like, maybe let's try this. And like, but like, instead of not saying anything, so like make a plan, pick a time, tell me what to wear, etc. Versus like, what do you want to do? I mean, and these are super basic things, but they happen a lot.
Yeah.
But they happen a lot.
Yeah.
And men, I think, are finding that it's because they don't want to make the wrong decision, because women now have all this autonomy. It's like, oh, make the decision.
Yeah.
She doesn't care what it is, unless it's terrible.
Yeah.
I think that's an easy example.
So you think underneath all of that are the hormonal issues?
I think that's a huge component of it. I don't think that you can outrun your biology.
Yeah.
And we don't look at it enough. I mean, you got to look at like testosterone levels, 40, 50 years ago for guys, they were in the high nines, the thousands, 1100, and now they're like 300 or 400. It's a significant drop.
Yeah.
And that testosterone, it's not just like, oh, like wrestling testosterone steroid, guys. This is like your drive, your will, your purpose, your ability to like go after something and get denied and still go after it and get denied, like, and not be so emotionally hurt by it, which is also what like high value women want.
Yeah.
That was what I was looking for before, high value versus low value.
Yeah.
So I think that the hormones play a major role, and we're not looking at that enough.
Oh yeah. 100%. Even for women though, cause it's like, if you have low testosterone, like, you just don't want to do anything ever. And I can't tell you how often like people come in, they think they have this big energy problem. Like, I think your testosterone is just low. Like literally,
women need testosterone
we
too.
all need it.
And then women are also becoming estrogen dominant because they're being filled with fake estrogen as well in their bodies. And so there are these factors that we can't ignore. And it's not like it happens immediately. This is death by a thousand cuts over decades, right? In our environment, consistently putting in, and our bodies are amazing pieces of technology, and we're able to get rid of a lot of the bad stuff. But if you're inundated with it so much, you're gonna have to work on it at some point. Yeah.
Do you think this was planned?
I wouldn't say it was planned. I mean, on some level, maybe it's all planned. I would say that like companies use very inexpensive products that they never tested for the long-term effects of, and it's cost efficient to use propylene glycol and industrial solvents and whatever they put on crops and whatnot. It's cheap. Was it planned? I don't know. What do you think?
Do you think it's an agenda?
I mean, I don't know. That would be a big agenda. I mean, pharmaceuticals, I think, it's more of an agenda. Maybe it is an agenda.
I think it's an agenda.
Yeah.
I think most people don't realize how big the agendas are.
Yeah.
Like how big
there's
the
a
agendas
massive
are.
agenda. Well, then there's a massive agenda. I mean, look, could it all be an agenda? Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's an agenda. Because what happens when we're in the position we are hormonally as a society is we're weak and we're confused, and that's how you enslave people.
I agree with that completely.
So yeah, I think
but who's controlling it?
Do you really want to get into it?
I don't know. I mean, like, what's his name from the World Economic Forum? Like, but this is like a multi-decade,
this is
60,
like
70,
eons.
80 years.
This is further than that.
Is it like Star Wars?
I
what
mean,
are we getting into?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting far back, 100%.
Wow.
Yeah, 100%. I think so.
Interesting.
you know, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
What do you think is the thing that like makes men wake up to this? Like, is it a physical issue? Because I think this is interesting. I feel like from the people I'm around, my selection bias, like women, when their bodies are not functioning properly, are like immediately, I got to fix this. And I always feel like men have to like lose all their money or have the woman they love leave them, or it's like, I feel like it's a totally different trigger for them in my selection bias. I'm curious what you think about that.
It's a great question. So I think I would like to think that something health-wise would trigger a guy to be like, hey, I need to wake up. Usually it's much bigger, right? Relationship or complete sexual dysfunction, ED, not being able to get it up. But then oftentimes what happens is they'll just go down the path of like porn, and they won't actually connect with their partner, and they won't actually face it. So I think it's usually something big, you know, and it would be great if it wasn't, you know, because the first thing that goes with testosterone is like your sexual ability. You know, you're not gonna be able to get it up. You don't get morning wood as much. Your cardiovascular system starts not working, you know, as well. You know, and then at some point a guy's got to be like, yo, I have a problem. It's very difficult for men to admit problems, especially as it relates to their sexual function, because men don't like to do that. You know, we don't like to admit that we aren't top notch, you know, and it takes a guy who's like willing to put himself in and do the work and be like, yo, I need to work on some stuff. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's really important. Women are much more open. They're like, yes, I want to work on myself. I got this going on. Let's work on it. Men, it's not their first thing that they go for.
Especially when they're helping themselves, which is actually why I think it's like all the women listening who have a husband or partner are often, I think, more effective. Like I know for me, like in relationships in the past, it's like when I say something, like, okay, but they would never on their own like go figure out their health. You know. So
the self-directed man is. I mean, look, we're coming more and more online with that, but it's not the first path for most guys. You know.
So I know you're probably sick of talking about it, but I have to ask you about it because you're here, which is, can you talk about porn and what it's doing?
Oh my God. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to mankind. Maybe that was planned too. Who knows? But I mean, in terms of like, it teaches you all the wrong moves. It creates all three, I call it like sexual dysfunction acronyms: performance anxiety, premature ejaculation, and erectile dysfunction. Not necessarily all of them for all men, but like you'll get one of them, you know, as a result of watching it. You develop a dependency on digital arousal. You lose the ability to go out in the world and approach because you're totally, you have a full satiety from this digital thing that has no gravitas and no potential for denying you. It's creating a culture of weak men who are, you know, really like shells of themselves, I would say. And you also lose all your life force, you know, through release, often multiple times per day. And so that's a lot of the stuff that I learned in the Tantra and the Taoist world, is that like you have a finite amount of this life force, right? They call it the Jing. But if you're just letting it go all the time, you know, and so that's a lot of the training that I did with, you know, the erotic arts training is like, hey, how do we preserve this energy? You know, and then you have to develop a different relationship with release and with like watching, you know, porn and what it does to your body and your system. You also start objectifying women. You become performative. I mean, I could go on and on and on. There's literally not a single positive benefit from watching pornography.
Except avoidance. That's fine.
Well, yeah, like it's just, you'll never, like you're not operating at your highest level.
Can you be specific about what happens hormonally? What changes?
So the biggest thing, so there are a couple of things. So when you release, so I'll talk about that one first. You release a hormone called prolactin. Prolactin is the hormone that's released through breast milk, which makes babies sleep. So that is released in a man's body after he ejaculates. And so that creates like what I call sleepy puppy. Everyone knows, like the guy that's just like not really present after he releases. So if you're doing that constantly, you have that flowing through your body constantly, multiple times per day, you don't have the drive, the gusto, the will, the want to, you know what I mean? It's just, you're losing that. It's the opposite of libido and drive and direction and will and purpose. It's meant to make you satiated and content. That's the first one. But the second one is the dopamine pathways that are created from watching porn. So this is kind of like, you're walking the same path in a field every day. And over time, that path gets cleared out of the grass, and then it becomes dirt, and like, because you're walking on it so regularly. Well, what happens to men when they watch porn is that their dopamine threshold becomes so high, which means that when you watch the video, the intense visceral video nature of pornography, it triggers your dopamine unlike anything else that you could ever do. Nothing else hits it like that, right? And the creators of porn know this. So what happens when you are consistently elevating to those high levels over and over again and habituating your body and your dopamine pathways to need that level of dopamine, what happens when you're with a real person is it never gets that high. So there's a huge gap, right? So if you're watching porn and dopamine, let's say, gets to 100 over and over and over again, that's your new threshold for what you need to feel arousal. When you're with a person, maybe it gets to 40, maybe it gets to 60. Human interaction is not those movies. So you're always going to have this gap, and the gap is where ED happens. That's what happens, is there's a delta between what your new threshold is for dopamine and what you're able to create naturally. That's the biggest thing that I see, with guys, is their dopamine pathways become completely ruined and trashed.
How does that compare to the effects of like social media addiction in general? Because there's similar things with your brain. I mean, slightly different, but like...
Yeah, same pathways.
Yeah.
Social media is not as intense viscerally. So the brain, what happens in your brain when you're watching porn is unlike anything they've ever seen before. And then social media is, it's similar pathway, but just levels below in terms of intensity. But it's the same concept. It's you're chasing this dopamine high. But yeah, nothing like porn.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. It's so interesting, like, learning about all this and like kind of like mapping on the energetic effects with people. Like, I've shared this a lot, but like I had so much sexual trauma I had to heal from things I saw on TV. Like just TV that I saw. Like if I saw a rape scene in a movie, like my whole body stored that. Wow. Like when you're an empath, you watch things happening and you feel like that's happening to you. And like as a child, if I saw something like that, like it literally stored in me. And I was always like working, like, what is this thing? I'm like, this is all from stuff I saw just on TV. Isn't that crazy?
That is wild. That is really
and
wild.
It's like a similar, there's a parallel with men and porn or whatever else. But I think people really don't realize how deep this is, and like where we store this. And so talk about life force. There's like that's where that's stored. Like that energetic block. It's like a calcified rock in people's sacrals, So, I mean, all around, it's like.
I feel that. And I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
And especially for someone like you, like that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And it's like, because of my gifts, I have an awareness of it, but that's happening to lots of people are empaths, right? Or like they're emotionally intuitively connected. Like, are your mirror neurons fully developed? Like you're going to feel things intensely, or even like watching a movie where someone's hit by a car, like that will store in your field as if your loved one got hit by a car. Wow. Like you can have grief that you actually have to move through. Wow. It's just crazy, all the layers to it, to be honest. So but if somebody is like addicted to porn and this is all going on, how do you start to unwire that? Like how do you start to heal that?
So I put together this like chart actually. The highest triggering and the most dopamine producing activities, the most dopamine producing content is like VR porn is the worst. And then it goes down to like regular porn. And then it goes down to like videos of, Instagram, or like you watching yourself have sex, and then it goes into like static graphics, and then audio, and then erotica, right? Which is just hearing or then reading like a book, right? So there's a really interesting scale.
Like everybody reading Akatar right now.
Right? Yeah, like there's all that stuff. I know. So here's the interesting stat. The higher the dopamine pulse and the lower the neural demand required to like activate your arousal systems, that's the worst scenario. VR porn, high dopamine, you don't have to work at all. It's just hitting you with all of it. Lowest level is audio erotica or written. You're reading it. Dopamine levels are okay, not crazy, but your neural demand is high because you have to create that in your mind. It's not just being presented to you on screen, right? So that's the trigger. So your question is, what do? You start weaning, right? It's like you stop watching that type of content and you go to the next level down. And or you can quit cold turkey, which is hard for people, but like that's important. I did that. That's the best way to do it because you have to replace the dopamine surge that you're looking for with something else. So that's one of the reasons why I created an app for guys. And so it's called Better Man. And basically there's a porn streak counter. And then anytime you're feeling like the urge, you can click it and it will give you a breath work, an activity, like go take a cold shower, go dunk your testicles into cold water. Like guarantee you won't want to watch porn after that, with ice water. It's like a cold plunge for your balls. So like you have to do something that's going to create a dopamine spike, right? Because that's what we're all looking for. None of those things are going to give you what watching porn will give you, but that's why you have to keep training it down. Essentially.
So does that even everything out, or are there other things you need to do like lifestyle diet wise to fix your hormones and your neurotransmitters?
I would say that the biggest thing is just replacing the dopamine with something else. Okay. And then consistently doing that and having an accountability partner or an app or something, using technology on your phone to block those sites, which you can do. I mean, if you want to do it, you can do it. But the issue is that like in the, when you're quiet in the nighttime and you want to whatever, like who cares if you have a coach? If you want to watch it, you're going to watch it. You're going to find a way to watch it. You'll get on a private VPN and you'll do it. You have to understand how horrific it is for you. And if you understand that, maybe you'll make better decisions. But most people don't realize how horrific it is for them.
Why do you think that is?
It's just totally normalized and it's so easy to access. And it's just, everyone's just, oh, porn this. It's like no one wants to do the work of being like, is this actually okay for us? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, where are the studies that are being done on porn watchers?
Are there not?
I mean, there are studies on sort of brain chemistry and whatnot, but like long-term, it's also a silent addiction. Yeah. It's not like alcohol where you can tell. It's not like a drug addiction. Like,
you can tell.
A woman can tell.
You can tell.
Hold on.
Immediately.
A woman can tell immediately when she is intimate with a man. That is the only time that you can tell.
I don't think that's true.
Well, you're psychic, so that doesn't count. Okay, but like, you can't meet a guy and be like, he watches porn 3 times a day. I've met some guys who are fine, like whatever, and like they're well-to-do people, blah blah blah, and like I don't know how many times they watch porn a day. I have no idea. Maybe you can tell, but I don't. But it's meaning it's silent.
I think there are subtle behavioral things, and like there's just a way that whatever. Maybe it is just because I'm psychic, but I like to think it's more psychological and behavioral.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's parts of it, right? Yeah. But for the lay person, I think that unless a woman has sex with a guy and she can feel where he's at. Yeah. Is he here? Is he performing? Is he just doing this? Is he, then I think she knows. But it's hard to tell otherwise. Yeah. I think it really is. Because most men don't admit that they watch and they don't talk about it with other guys.
So how do you think you get through to men?
I think it's just like over and
just
over and over.
Just keep saying it over and over.
Because if no one who is respected is coming out and being like, this is bad, that's true. Then no one's going to listen. Yeah. And so that's part of, one of the missions that I have, and, I have many missions, is like, I want guys to understand how horrible it is. Yeah. And I want guys to get, like, even if they're in a world where they don't have access to, to women regularly, or they're in a suburb, or they're this, or I don't know. Like, sometimes guys get like red pill, black pill, that whole thing. It still doesn't equate to intimacy. Yeah. Like, go out there in the world and you have to try. You got to try to figure it out and find a better way.
You know what I think is so convincing? It reminds me of a really long time ago. I had James Swanwick on the podcast. Who's
I know James.
Yeah. And he was talking about like how much money he left on the table when he was drinking alcohol. And basically like came onto this whole pitch like with math of like, this is how much money you're leaving on the table if you drink alcohol. And I feel like when it gets equated to like, this is how much money you're leaving on the table because of this habit, that's when people listen. Because I mean, somebody could totally quantify that.
Yeah.
I believe that.
No. You're totally right. And so there are times when, executive CEOs or whatever come to me and they're like, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
Like I need help with this thing. I need accountability. I need someone who I can, because I heard this guy, I think it was Brad Lee, one of these, real estate guys, whatever. And he was like, these dudes are, if you have a porn addiction, blah, 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 you're talking about it and like letting people know. And he's like, that's like being a blah, 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 some bad word.
Yeah.
And I'm like, actually, that's what you should do.
Yeah.
You should tell someone that you have a problem,
Yeah.
And he's like, don't talk about it. Keep it, quiet. And I was like, that's not accurate.
Yeah.
You should talk about it and tell someone like, hey man, I have a problem.
Yeah.
But if we don't understand the danger of it, it's not going to hit.
Yeah.
I mean, similar to like cigarettes, everyone thought that was healthy, and then they're not. And so it'll have its phase. But, but we need more people who are at the highest levels who have the ability to share those messages. Like it would be great to to have go on a Huberman podcast and talk about porn.
Yeah.
Go on Joe Rogan and have him talk about how bad porn is.
Yeah, that's true.
Because people listen to them.
Yeah.
That's
have
where
they, have they not ever?
I'm sure. I think they have like scientists.
Yeah.
But like scientists have, it's like a urologist
Yeah,
talking about it. Who
nobody
wants to hear about a
cares.
urologist?
Yeah.
Like, cool, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Sweet, bro.
I know. I mean, I also just think like everything else, most people don't know what it feels like to feel good. And then when you start detoxing in any way, or like you change your diet, and you start to feel better, you're like, whoa, I didn't realize how my baseline was just so shitty.
Yeah.
I think that's like very common as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And kind of connected to that, it's like, I wanted to hear more about what happened with your like mold and Lyme.
Oh, wow. That was a journey.
Because when did that happen?
2019.
Okay.
Living in West Hollywood, at the sort of like prime peak, like throwing the parties, running a really successful business. I was living in a house that had Stachybotrys, which is black mold, in the master bathroom. And I was depressed. I was lethargic. I had sexual dysfunction issues, which I've never had before. I didn't have much of like a drive or desire to do anything. I could barely, at some point, like I couldn't work out. And then I was like, what's going on? This is crazy. So I got all these tests done. And then someone who I was connected to was like, have you ever been tested for mold or had your place tested for mold? I said, no. And then I finally did. And they're like, yep, you got plenty of black mold and you've been living around it for 8 months. And so mold is a incredibly toxic poison. And there's many kinds. And it basically becomes a neurological issue and disease, and you can trigger Lyme. Lyme and mold work hand in hand often. And so, yeah, like, you have to go on a protocol and get it out of your system. And it's difficult. It's a really challenging thing. So I went through that. And then in the process of that, it's like, oh, you also have heavy metals. And, some people, and by the way, I'm a really clean, eating Erewhon all the time, like organic. Some people's systems are more porous, I think, than others.
100%. I think mold and Lyme are so spiritual. And so, I mean, I don't know anybody that's not super gifted that like hasn't had those, because it is like you. Yeah.
Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Just had a bout with it. Yeah. It's nasty. And so I've done a lot of work to get rid of it, through pretty advanced therapies, but it takes time, it takes time and it takes a dedication and commitment and money. Yeah. And now I'm like a mold hound where it's like I go into a place and I'm like, nope, not the place.
And it's not hard for you in San Diego?
Well, I think anywhere where I was in Miami.
Yeah, that's true.
But I look for like new construction, which is better. And then you just have to be on it. Purify the air, and then be mindful of like what your atmosphere is in. But like you got to check stuff. You got to check like for visual, and then also you kind of have to have a nose about you and be like, this doesn't smell good, or damp, musty. So I've been through that, and then Lyme, and the heavy metals, and a whole host of things.
What was that journey like for you, like emotionally, spiritually?
Painful, because I was doing all the right things.
Yeah.
I'm working out. I'm at like peak shape. I haven't had fast food since I was 15. I don't eat, I don't drink soda. Like I'm working out all the time. I'm getting sunshine. And then you have this experience and you're like, okay, well, this just comes out of left field. And so it's difficult and it sets you back a lot because it doesn't allow you. And I've been a peak performer my entire life across everything I've ever done, sports and school and everything. And so it sets you back. And because it's not like you do one thing and you're better, it takes time to figure out because everybody reacts differently to it. And it's also incredibly expensive to get rid of more quickly, right? You need to do the advanced therapies and those cost. So it's a painful experience and, it can get you down, and I was in a position where, you do all the right stuff and then you can't work out. You can't like jog down the street because you're so tired and your body aches. You can't remember people that you met a month ago.
Yeah.
You have brain fog and, the neurological stuff, comes up. So it's hard to like, and you kind of have to just be really consistent and persevere. Yeah.
So how did you move through that?
You start doing protocols that help on the physiological, plane. I also think that like, you're right, it is energetic too. And I was in a work relationship that I should not have been in. Yeah. Making a lot of money, but not the right work situation. And it was an energetically taxing, like succubus kind of sucking type situation. And so I think that the universe was like, okay, we're going to hit you on your body. Yeah. Instead of like, I can push through here. Yeah. But like, no, not when you can't use the things that you want to use. Yeah. And then you get on protocols and you start learning more. And that was one of my first real deep dives into the health stuff that I'm ultimately doing now. But, the concept of like IVs and ozones and saunas and sweating and detoxification and chlorophyll and, you name it. The itraconozols, the cholestyramines, the ivermectins. There's so many things that are out there. Yeah. But you kind of have to like test them out on you, and everyone's constitution is different. Maybe I can handle more than someone else, can. So, you work through it, but you have to have a protocol, and then slowly you start to feel better. You're like, okay, Yeah. But then one exposure can knock you back. Yeah. And you're like, fuck.
Yeah. I feel like it's such a big spiritual initiation. Like for me, I had been on it was 10 years of constant protocols and restrictive diets and crazy, whatever, all this shit. And then you get this diagnosis and I was just like, wow, fuck me, you know? And I feel like it, for me, it just stripped my identity, because you literally can't do anything. I would have days where my vision was totally gone. Wow. It would completely, I would just have to lay in bed, and shut everything down. And I do think, I always say this, for the high achiever, your body will scream at you because it's it is going to take something that extreme for me to listen. Yeah. Because we can get so locked in, but I think even just, I remember having to get rid of everything I owned basically. And that release and I can't even describe what that ripped out of me emotionally. Yeah. I just think there's something so deep when you get mold and Lyme and all of that. And I think for me, it was very much forcing me to pivot into what I do now instead of what I was doing then. Yeah. But I think there's always a really deep component to that. And I think boundaries are always at play with people. It was for me, that was one. I remember I sent a text to everybody I knew and I was like, I'm sick and I'm not going to talk to anybody for 6 months. I'm not mad at you, but best of luck. And it was the best thing I could have ever done for myself. Yeah. It was the first time in my life I felt like I could actually just be present with my emotions. I didn't have everybody pulling on me all the time. And I've just noticed that with everybody I've seen with mold and it's so boundary connected for people and caring so much. That's that porousness. Yeah. That comes in, you feel all of it. And it's just this cloud over you, Yeah.
It is a weird thing. And I think you're right. Going through that portal, it helps you. 'Cause I the stuff I'm doing now is
Mm-hmm.
directly related to the course correction I made after that happened, right? The deep dive
There you
into
go.
health and the body. I'm like, okay, wow.
Yeah.
Like, and then that was like 2019 ish. And, you know, and you end up learning so much, right? And
Yeah.
so like that portal catapults you into, okay, and now
Yeah.
I can help people, you know, with a whole host of things, but that's definitely one of them as well.
Yeah. What were
Yeah.
you doing at the time?
I was running a film finance business.
A film finance
Yeah.
business.
Living
Very
in LA.
different.
Very, totally.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's life sucking.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Yeah, and I think it's also like, I think anytime you're like forced to really be alone with yourself, like for me during that, it was like the first time. I mean, how old was I? I think I was like 22, 23. And I was like, I should be in my like prime, you know, like high social experience.
Mhm.
And it was like, no, I have to like sit in my house and like have my friend drive me to Ozone and have her drive me home and
Yeah.
have somebody help me cook because I half the days can't get out of bed. And like, I mean, that really like rips your ego.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really does.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know that you went through that.
Oh yeah.
That's
It was
intense.
like after I had all kinds of other crazy shit happen to me like before. So it felt like again, like my whole life is shut down again. Like I, in 2014 had, I don't even know what happened exactly. I mean, I got a parasite basically, but it was just, my terrain was ready to get knocked down and I just stopped absorbing all food and I lost like 50 pounds in 3 months and all my organs started shutting down and I had to drop out of college. And I was just constantly in clinical trials and tests and like my whole job was it was crazy and everybody just told me like, you're gonna die, we don't know how to help you. There's so much that happened in that time and it took me a long time to recover from that. Like I figured it out, but it took me a long time to recover from that. And my health was always kind of like shaky, but I was like, but that derailed my whole life. And then so when the Lyme and the mold happened, I was just like, literally fuck me. Like my entire like 20s got taken from me. But yeah, it's just undeniable to me, like the spiritual factor, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a initiation. And then also it gets you back to like, is there an agenda?
100%. I mean, who
like
is
you're a light being? Like, Like what is that play here?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot with like, I mean, Lyme is for sure. They're trying to, for sure.
Lab 257. Have you
like,
read it?
No.
So there's a lab. Lyme was basically originated off of an island off the coast of Long Island, and there's a lab where they did a lot of testing on animals and whatnot, and then Lyme, Connecticut is the first place where like they found it, so to speak, because it was on a deer, and the tick was on a deer, and the deer went over the channel and then was in Lyme, Connecticut, and so, but that lab was, you know, run by the United States, like the FDA and like the USDA, and it was like changed, you know, commission, but it was created right after World War II. You know, and they had a bunch of scientists. There were Nazi scientists who came over. I mean, this is a real place.
Yeah.
You know, the Bay of Pigs and whatnot, that was also potentially started there and then moved down. So like, there's a lot of things that, you know, that were created.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember, like, did you get a bite that triggered it or no?
You know, I mean, I grew up in Massachusetts.
So
I went to camp up there.
Yeah, just probably had one.
I mean, Lyme is also sexually transmitted. People don't know that. Yeah. Yeah, we're all just giving each other Lyme, potentially.
It is?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought it was a bite.
It can be a bite.
Yeah.
But it's also, you know, the blood-brain, you know what I mean? Like, so
that's fair.
it can be sexually transmitted. But yeah, I grew up in Massachusetts, spent a lot of time up there.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know how it happens. And also, I think that symptoms of Lyme can be triggered by mold and back and forth. They kind of like turn each other on.
Yeah.
You know, they're very similar, especially the neurological piece of it.
And then how does the heavy metals play
The heavy
in?
metals, I'm still really trying to understand and figure out, because it's not like I was eating a lot of fish. You know, maybe.
But don't you think it's just kind of, I don't know. Don't you think it's just everybody has heavy metals unless you really worked on that? Or
maybe,
no?
maybe. But I think
like
it affects people differently.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, some people, and again, because I know, remember you talk about like they don't know what their baseline is.
Yeah.
So like I know my baseline's really high, and so when I drop out of that, I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right, or I'm achy, or I'm this, or I'm that, or I can't remember people's names, and then I'm like, I need to get back to the peak again. So, but no, if you eat a lot of fish, you'll have more mercury in your body for sure.
Yeah.
I don't eat a lot of fish anymore. I don't eat raw food anymore because I don't want parasites. I don't eat salads. I don't eat.
You don't eat any vegetables?
I eat cooked vegetables.
Okay.
Cooked vegetables, but only like 3. Carrots.
I just got my food poisoning from cooked broccoli.
Yeah, I mean, or it could have been something. Yeah, I mean, yeah, who knows where it comes from. But I only eat like a couple of vegetables.
Okay.
I mostly just eat meat.
Okay. You're more carnivore.
Yeah, it's like carnivore plus.
Carnivore plus.
Yeah, carnivore
Interesting.
Plus. Yeah, but that's also because like I've done testing on what works for my body. And I don't tell anyone what to eat. Yeah. I say, let's figure it out like diagnostically what's best for you.
Like what kind of tests?
I mean, you can do like HMAT, you can do the metabolic typing diet, you can do, there's a variety of things that you can do, and it gives you like, are you a fast oxidizer, are you a slow oxidizer, are you parasympathetic or sympathetic dominant? And then it's kind of like your doshas in Ayurveda. Have you heard of that? Yeah. So like Vata, Pitta, Kapha, but it's more biological, and it's based off of your constitution, how fast you process. So if you're a fast oxidizer like me, you don't want a lot of like salads and veggies because those are also fast to digest, and it doesn't work with you. I need something to slow me down. Yeah. Right. I need something to ground me more. Yeah. So I think most people just eat incorrectly for their body because of societal norms. And it's like, oh, I'm a woman, I need to eat salads and be low in a low caloric deficit. It's like, well, that might be the opposite of what you actually need. Yeah. But they're scared because they're like, oh, if I eat meat, I'm going to get fat or I'm going to get bigger. I don't know. Yeah. But so we go through a lot of these like diets that are proselytized on us by influencers. And it's like, it's all bullshit. Yeah. It's all marketing. The only thing that matters is what's right for you. That's it. Yeah. And if you can test it, why wouldn't you figure that out first? Yeah, no, I totally agree. Then try. Yeah. But we don't like to do that. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to do. Well, I'm not trying, but like that's what I do with people that I work with. It's like, we're going to test you first. I'm not going to tell you what to eat. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what your constitution needs. Yeah. I mean, there's certain rules like processed foods and sugars, like those are givens, but everyone knows that now. Yeah. But the other stuff is like, what's your ideal macro ratio? I can't tell you what to eat. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's like a huge problem in the health space. Everybody's like in a camp, and that's the reality. Is not everybody should be eating the same, Nobody should be eating the same. Yeah. Unless they've tested it and it works for them. Yeah. Biochemical individuality, super important. Yeah. Like one man's food is another man's poison. Yeah. There's a lot of guys that, 50, 60 years ago wrote great stuff around this, metabolic typing and understanding how you process food, and it's we just need to dive in a little bit more, and have someone guide us and like introduce it to the people. Be like, actually, let's talk about this. Yeah. Have you like tracked how your gut microbiome has shifted at all, like eating more meat heavy? Yeah. So, I mean, look, you can do the stool samples and all that sort of stuff. And all the markers are great and things are, moving in the great direction. Yeah. And it's also like, how do you feel? Yeah. So you do the testing, you figure out what to eat, and then you practice it. Yeah. And it's every meal. It's like, do I feel energized after this? Do I feel out of whack? Does it give me a headache? Do I, have some sort of, bowel issue? So it's about tracking and being smarter about it. Yeah. But it's funny because I naturally came to this diet that I'm on now, that I then reaffirmed with the testing, which was cool because it was like, I need high purine protein, which is like liver, pate, organs, ruminant meat, bison, elk, egg yolks, stuff that's like high fat and dense with protein. Yeah. Versus like a white chicken, which is not high purine, or like egg whites, which are not high purine. And then not a lot of really anything else. Like oats is okay, like a bit of white rice here and there, pears, apples, but then like olives and artichoke. I mean, that's like what I was eating. Yeah. And this metabolic typing was like, yeah, that's what you need. You need something that's gonna ground you. Yeah. With like really dense purine filled protein. So I was like, okay, this is cool. I love it.
Yeah. It's so interesting because when I had Lyme, I went full carnivore and I was carnivore for like a year and totally fucked me. And my gut just has like never recovered. But in one of my close girlfriends, she's also like full carnivore and like we'll like compare labs and it's like her gut is fine. Great. And I'm like, this is just like, it just goes to show, right?
Yeah.
Like your body's going to respond differently for different people.
1,000%.
Yeah. And I wish I had like tested things before. I was just trying all kinds of stuff. But I also think back then, like it was a different space, you know, like people know way more about mold and Lyme now than they did, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Yeah. It's like totally different space.
Yeah. It's in the public sphere. It's in the public eye. A lot of like very high profile people are getting it. Yeah. And so then we talk about it. Chris Williams talk about it. Yeah. Jordan Peterson, et cetera. So that's key. But you're right. Test, don't guess. Yeah. That's one of my mottos. I'm like, let's test it. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Exactly. What do you think what were the most effective things for you with Lyme and mold?
EBU. Which is it's like extracorporeal blood ozone oxygenation. Yeah. That was huge. It's expensive. Yeah. And then
there's a center in Encinitas that does it.
Oh, cool. Yeah. You'll have to I'd love to get a place here. Yeah. I believe that the itraconazole, cholestyramine, and ivermectin combination also helped. Sauna is great in terms of detoxing, but not too much sauna. I think people sauna too long. I think you need like 10 to 12 minutes and like rip it and like you're sweating and then take a shower, get it out of your body. Because remember, your pores are open and you're sweating out toxins. And then if you don't get it off your skin, your skin's going to absorb it again. Yeah. It's kind of weird. Yeah. So like get it out, those were the biggest things that helped with the mold and the Lyme type stuff. Okay. I think we're getting into like plasma cleansing now and not so much in the States, but in Europe. Yeah. And so that's something that I think is really helpful, especially with people with spike proteins, COVID, long COVID, or vaccine related issues. Again, not in the United States yet, probably for certain reasons. But hopefully at some point, it'll come here. Yeah. But those are the biggest things that really helped.
I'll tell you what helped for me.
Yeah, I would love to know.
I did ozone. I did like 10 weeks of it. Yeah. And then I bought this device. It was called a wave device. I don't know if they still have it. It was a frequency device I would wear around my wrist or my ankle. And they said this frequency would heal me. So I bought that. It's like $2,000. Wow. I did that. And then I took AHCC, high dose. Okay. And I just did a lot of energy work.
Wow. Wait, tell people what AHCC is.
I mean, I don't know what that stands for. It's a really long.
Is it a mushroom?
Yeah, it's a functional mushroom. But my friend Mimi, like that's her business. Okay. And she had sent me an email, and it was like a pitch for the podcast. This is so long ago, and she was like, "This functional mushroom cures HPV," and I was like, "I don't think this is real." And we have a mutual friend, and I was like, "Is this chick for real?" And she's like, "No, she's legit." And I'm like, this is really interesting. And she goes, oh yeah, it can heal Lyme too. She's like, I just saw on your Instagram you said you have Lyme. Wow. And so she came to my house and brought me like a clinical trial, and it was like 100% of people that took this for 6 weeks healed from Lyme. And I was like, sign me up. Oh my God. And at this point it had been so many years of like 8,000 pills a day and like strict diets, and I was just like, fuck this, know. And I had just started channeling, and I was like on this whole other journey. I'm like, this needs to be simple. So I wear my device, I did my round of ozone, and I just high dose HCC, and I was like, I physically feel like I can't take another pill, and I'm like I can't have my blood drawn one more time. Right. Like I just can't do it anymore. And it worked within like 2 or 3 months. All my labs were clear.
I gotta get that AHCC stuff.
You gotta get it
for sure.
I'll send you a link. That. It's so good. Yeah.
And that wave device. I'm all into like the gadgets. I'm always like, I'll try it. And, yeah.
I mean, I don't know how effective. I don't know, but I wore it and all those. That's what I did.
Yeah. And maybe that helped with your channel and stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, along that wavelength, I did want to talk to you about peptides because I haven't had anybody on the show talking about peptides. Okay. And I know there's like so many benefits, but I do feel like weird about it.
Why?
I just feel like us over here are like, no, I'm not injecting my body with random shit. But suddenly I can just inject my body with peptides. Like, and maybe it's just because I know people are sourcing them from weird places and there's all these influencers just like selling peptides. And I'm like, where are you getting these from? Like, you guys, you know, over here, like, I'm not going to blindly inject myself with the jab, but I'm okay. And I'm like, that just doesn't compute for me.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, like, what's safe? What should people be doing?
Yeah. Okay. So great question. Let me step back.
Yeah.
So history of peptides. Peptides are basically short chain amino acids that have been put together for a directive specific purpose, right? Peptides have been around since, I mean, insulin is a peptide.
Yeah.
But like peptides have been used, even like the 70s and 80s, the Russians were using them in their Olympians. So they weren't like doping per se. You've heard of like the Russian doping in the Olympics.
Yeah.
They're using peptides. A lot of the peptide protocols have come over from Russia. Now, peptides are getting popularity now. In like the last 2 years, everyone's like, oh, peptides, I'm a guru, whatever.
Why do you think recently?
Because it's the only way for doctors to make more money.
Okay.
Their practices basically had to have a cap.
Yeah.
Right. But now they're like, oh, I can sell peptides.
Yeah.
So peptides, if they are sourced and produced in 503A or 503B compounding pharmacies, right? And I'll get into what the difference is. They're synthetic, right? If they're injectable, they are very efficient, like sharpshooter type things where it's like, I need to heal this thing. I'm going to do it. The area where you get a little bit tricky is where you're just able to buy it off the internet without having a call. Peptide Sciences just closed probably because of that. So 503A means that they make the peptide for you. There's a doctor, there's a script, and it's for you. 503B is like, we're going to make a whole batch of BPC 157, and then they sell it into doctors' clinics, and the clinics can sell it to you, right? The doctor can sell it to you because you have to be a doctor. I believe that peptides are one of the ways that we will achieve like health span into the hundreds for sure, because they're so effective and so efficient. I've been doing and getting into peptides since 2019. So this isn't like last year where I'm like, oh my God, like I've tried pretty much everything once. Sometimes you have bad reactions to peptides. Sometimes you don't. And now they're making new peptides with different formats. Oral, ingestible, skin topical, where you put it on your skin and it gets absorbed through your skin. So what I say to people is like, look, if you want to live really well forever and you don't mind synthetic stuff being put in you, right? Which, by the way, like supplements are considered synthetic too, right? It's a great approach. And as long as you have someone who is guiding you on how to use them, right? That's the most important thing. It's all about the dosage, and it's all about the protocol. Where we get into territory that I don't feel is as appropriate is with the GLP-1s. GLP-1s are forms of peptides that are for weight loss specifically. GLP-1, GLP-2, GLP-3. With the GLP-1s, people are like, oh, I'm going to use this to lose weight and I'm not going to eat healthy and I'm not going to exercise, right? Or people are like, I want to lose a little bit of belly fat and I don't want to work out harder. Or they're obese and they need it, right? But the GLP-1s, the issue is that you lose fat, but you also lose muscle. And muscle mass is incredibly important to longevity and to overall health. So, I see people that are on these protocols, they're on a GLP-1, but they're not on a growth agonist. A growth agonist is something that will help you build muscle. And they're not doing weight training and they're not eating properly. Right? Protein first. So everything that you do, like you have to look at the pros and the cons, and you have to like look at it like, okay, if this is what this is going to do, is this a natural process to my body or is it not? If it is a natural process, you're basically giving it the message, right? So I'll give you an example. Injecting testosterone into your body. That's called exogenous testosterone, which means that your body says internally, oh, I'm getting testosterone from someplace else. I don't need to produce it anymore, right? That's called exogenous. Peptides are different. Peptides are giving you the building blocks, which are short chain amino acids, to build, to be directive, like grow more muscle, help bone tissue, like heal the gut. There's ones for sexual function. There's one for brain, lengthen telomeres. So they're giving messengers to go then have your body do that more naturally. But it's giving you more ammo than you would normally get. That's why peptides are so different from like things like TRT and, you know, HRT and stuff like that. And as long as you're getting them from a reputable compounding pharmacy, they're great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that people should, if they have the money, because they're expensive, should use them. Where you get tricky is like oral, like bioavailability of oral versus injectable. I don't know. I think that, and I work with a peptide company called Make Wellness, and they're non-injectable. Their whole thing is we search nature, we found peptides in nature, we took those peptides, we put them into supplements, into pills or powders, and they're much more natural, they're synergistic, they work with your body, and, you know, because they're like supplements, right? They're closer to the plants, and the ingredients are fantastic. So that's kind of the thing with peptides, is that if you have money and you're comfortable injecting, you know, that's really the best way to do them.
Yeah.
Until something comes out that's like skin absorb and you're in.
Yeah.
Which some people have started to do now. But it's an interesting space for sure.
But that company that you were talking about, who's making like capsules or supplements.
Yeah, the natural ones.
Have you tried those? Like,
yeah, I've taken the last 6 months.
Oh, and you think they're as effective?
I think they are effective. I think they are natural.
Okay.
And they are more synergistic with my body than me taking an injectable form of you know, some sort of synthetic chemical. Now, just to be clear, I take both. I do certain things for both things. Yeah. I've had major issues with tears in my hips, and so I take BPC as an injectable because I want a little bit more of a boost. But the GLP-1 that they offer is like a super natural GLP-1 that's actually helped curb my sugar cravings, which is like, I'm a huge sweet tooth. I will fuck up a plate of cookies and baked goods. Like, you'll be like, wait, what? Where'd it go? And it's the only thing that I've ever taken where it's like, oh, I actually feel less of that. But like my stomach isn't shrinking the way that a GLP-1 shrinks your stomach. Yeah. That's not a natural form of losing weight. Yeah. So titrating is super important. Like, you know, and like dosing properly. And we get into the vanity play where it's like, oh, I can lose all this weight. Yeah. And like, but like, what is it doing to your insides? You know? I know.
Well, and now there's all this weird stuff happening, like the hair loss and the teeth, the like Ozempic teeth, like, and I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah. It's because it's not a natural thing. And so there's no silver bullet. There's no like, oh my God, get out of jail free card. Like there will always be a ramification. Yeah. And so you need to know what it is and be prepared to tackle it. Most people, don't care, B, are lazy, or like, they're just like, whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they're like, cool, I just want to get skinnier. Yeah. But you lose muscle. Yeah. Well, what's the long-term effects of a woman not having muscle when she's in her 60s and 70s? Yeah. Horrific. Yeah. So you like, let's just stick with the basics. That's what I, say.
I think also, I don't think there's enough like practitioners, doctors that actually know what they're doing with them.
Right, because it's very new. Yeah. The protocols come over from Russia, and maybe they're interpreted properly, or maybe they're not. Yeah. And there are some doctors that do now, but then you've got these fly-by-night people that are like, oh, take this, take that, and you can make money off it as an influencer. And you have to have a telehealth program with it, but it's very lax. Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, well, if you're lax about it, then you might have some negative ramifications.
What do you think is going to like happen with that
the
space?
FDA will be much more stringent, and then pharmaceutical companies will come in and they will start like gobbling up territories, unfortunately. And that's bad because they're just going to make them way more expensive. And they'll reduce the ability for people to have ingenuity with creating other peptides. Because again, it's just about like, they're like Legos. You put them together in different formats and they have different effects. Yeah. So I think that's ultimately what will happen. People will start getting really sick or ill. But as you see now, like Zepbound and those are all pharmaceutical-led GLP-1s. Yeah. You could take tirzepatide, but tirzepatide it's generic. Yeah. Like retatrutide is generic. But they're just like wrapping the pharmaceutical branding around them. Okay. Essentially. So that's what I think is going to happen.
When you describe them like giving your body extra ammo, but then what impacts somebody's ability to even use that? Like what? Yeah. Like if you have a problem actually using it, then would it just not be as effective?
Yeah, it would be not as effective. But it gives you more of like the stuff that you need, and so it'll increase your efficiency over time. But and they're targeted. They have very clear pathways, and so even if you're yeah, I mean, some of them are just, I mean, who, again, like, are we testing? Do we know?
Yeah.
Like, do we know actually what's happening?
Yeah.
So I always say, like, let's test first and
Yeah.
then we can do peptides. Sure. I'm
Yeah.
happy to do peptides, you
Yeah.
know, and then let's test again
Mm-hmm.
and see how you're doing. Because the peptides are like the icing on the cake, right?
Yeah.
You know, even if you're taking peptides and you're eating the wrong diet for you, peptides are only going to work so much, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of to answer your question.
That makes sense.
So it's like it's the flair, but
Yeah.
where's the foundation?
Yeah.
You know, it's a concept that I use is like the foundation and the flair. Peptides are the flair. Now they can be very effective, but like if you're not doing the other stuff at the foundational level,
Yeah.
they'll be less effective.
Yeah.
You know,
What are your favorites?
peptides.
Yeah.
It really just depends on what you want to do. So
Yeah.
because they're so specific, like for me, BPC 157 is really important for recovery, joints. I work out a lot. My joint age is older than I am because I've been an athlete my whole life. So like recovery is big for me. I think that, you know, there's the one that's called GHKCU, which is for hair, skin, and nails, which I found to be really effective, which is like a copper, it's like a copper peptide. What else? MOTS-C is great for sort of overall immune function. Epitalin is great for telomeres. So your telomeres are the things in your brain that they shrink as you get older, and that indicates like you'll die sooner. So they claim that epitalin can stop the shrinking of telomeres and potentially elongate the length of telomeres. PT141 is great for sexual function. If you need that. It works really well. Especially works really well if you don't need it and then you take it. I took it once and it's very, very, very intense experience. What else is really good? TB 500 is great. You know, anti-inflammatory effects. They're all great is the point. So like they all work really well. Just like what do people need?
Yeah.
TJC is a growth agonist. Testosterone is good for growth, muscle building. But again, you know, if you have cancer, what those things do is they grow cells.
Yeah.
They grow muscle cells, they grow cancer cells. So can we get checked first? Can we do a full body scan? Right? Like that's the smart way to do it.
Yeah.
Not everyone wants to do that. People are just like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to go and rip it. I'm like, okay, you can rip it.
Then you
but
pay the price.
yeah, potentially,
Yeah.
right? Because again, there's always an externality.
Yeah.
It may be positive, it may be negative, but if you're not doing the initial due diligence, you'll never know.
So when you're working with someone, what are the tests you like to run?
Stool, saliva, urine, hormones, full blood panel, blood spot. So we do 5. So the Ever Vital standard is essentially 5 core tests to give us a baseline, a really great snapshot of your baseline. And then if they want more, you know, we include like genetics, methylation, advanced hormones, and then a structural MRI type scan, which gives us, so it's more like this is your baseline and then this is the elite level. And then, you know, we try to find trends and we see how we feel and we look at sleep and we look at diet. But like, you know, everyone's like, oh, we're going to give me, I'm like, I'm going to work on your diet and I'm going to work on your sleep. Those are the 2 most critical factors. The next is exercise.
What does working on sleep look like?
Oh my God. Dark room.
Yeah.
Cold temperature.
Yeah.
A regulated mattress, either an 8 sleep or a chili pad, where you can set the temp. No noise, ear mask, eye plugs, mouth tape. Sleeping becomes the least sexy thing in the world.
Yeah.
So if you're with a partner, it's like costumes go on. We're sleeping.
Yeah.
I call it the business of sleep. But it's the most important indicator for your health and your longevity and your aging. Red light glasses before bed, 3 hours before bed, no blue screens at night. I take a little stack before I go to bed, glycine, magnesium glycinate, apigenin, L-theanine, GABA, 3 different products. Not eating a lot before bed, having sleep consistency, so like going to bed at the same time. That's actually the leading indicator of how well you sleep, is like, do you go to bed at the same time every night? So if you're like 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, you're not going to get that restful sleep because your body needs to be in its circadian rhythm. And if it's not, then it's going to show up in other ways. You won't recover as quickly or as fast, you won't, or as well. So, you know, I tell people, like, if you were to fully optimize your sleep, you would not sleep with a partner in your bed.
True.
right? And you're an empath, and you can feel people's energy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the least optimal thing to do
Yeah.
is be in another person's energetic field while you're trying to sleep.
It is the worst thing.
Yeah, so it's like get a 3-bedroom.
Yeah.
You sleep there. There's the office. Boom.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
So sleep has and I've been tracking, it with a wearable, and you can just see your biological age go up and down based off how well you sleep. So I say it's critical. Like sleep is key.
Yeah.
And the products that you can get around it are well worth the investment.
How do you feel about white noise?
I don't think that white noise is supportive to good sleep. I know that pink noise isn't. I think they did some studies on it, but because it's consistent, but it doesn't promote deep restful sleep.
Yeah. See, I need a science person to back me up because I tell everybody, I'm like, I swear to God, it like makes my cortisol rise to hear something. I'm like, I want it dead silent.
Yeah. Now, if you can't wear earplugs and you're in an area where it's loud, and that's the best bet, maybe try that.
Yeah.
But no sound is better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Air purifier.
Totally. In the room.
Yeah.
No dogs, no pets. Like, get everyone out of your room. Your bed should be your absolute sanctuary. No televisions, red light dimming at night. Use the Philips Hue, whatever it is. Like, dial in your bedroom so it's for sex during the day and sleeping at night.
Yeah.
Like, that's my vibe.
I need to kick my cat out. He literally sleeps on my head.
Oh my God, that's not good for your sleep. Because that's your energetic field as well. It's like an animal.
I feel like he's like protecting me and like protecting my dreams.
No, you don't need protection from your cat.
But it really wakes me up. But
yeah, no, you'll wanna get it, and like, and also just try it.
Yeah,
try it for 3 weeks, 4 weeks of like, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah,
when you get your spot, really dial out your bedroom, black out blinds.
What's your favorite air purifier?
So Air Doctor is really good.
Okay. Yeah.
I like that one. It's less sexy looking than the Molecule, but I think it filters more.
Yeah. I have that one.
Yeah. So Air Doctor I find is pretty good.
Okay.
And it's just one of the things, like, you just have it on all the time.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what is in your environment, or the Santana winds are coming. Well, guess what? People get sick because their environment is being fueled with shit in the air.
It's like really bad now. Like really bad. And also what you said earlier about the nose thing, you're gonna say that again? Like everything you get from your toxins come into your nose the most.
Yeah, you don't have really any protection from smelling.
Yeah.
Your mucous membranes in your nose are incredibly porous, and so we talk about candles, right? Everyone's like, oh, soy candles. Fuck soy candles. Soy candles are literally the worst thing that you could ever smell. Because soy is a phytoestrogen. It's a fake estrogenic compound, and then you smell it and you're just getting it in your system. So smelling is the most porous way to harbor chemicals in your body.
Yeah.
Skin, I think, is next. With like what we're putting on our skin and on our bodies, and all the products and the makeup, and with women it's much more difficult because all of your products are filled with dog shit.
I know.
But yeah, when we smell things, we absorb it fully.
Yeah.
Because there's just less protection.
But the good news, there are so many options now. Like when I first went down my whole health rabbit hole, like, I don't know, 12 years ago, it was like there wasn't anything, like makeup impossible, like I mean candles impossible, and now there's so much. I'm like, you don't have an excuse. I feel like it's just as easy to buy something cleaner as it is something not now. So that's the beauty of
and we're having much more awareness.
100%,
which is great. We need it, and it's more expensive, but like you pay now and then you have less issues later.
100%. Worth it.
Guess what? Every eBoo treatment's $1,500.
Yeah.
And that adds up.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money, and it's not covered by insurance.
I know. That's why I tell people, I'm like, cancer is expensive too. Like you're gonna pay for it an hour later. So pick your poison.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, what is coming up for you?
Well, moving to Southern California and Encinitas, getting a new place here, and just like dialing into the next aspect of my life. Everyone's always asking. I was on a show on another podcast with Alex Hall. She's like, well, why haven't you met your person? Or like, why are you still single at 42? I'm like, sometimes you just need to go through a lot of stuff, and then you're in a place where you're actually ready to receive somebody else in your life. So like that's definitely energetically like where I'm feeling much more aligned now. And yeah, you know, so I spent the last 6 months with my parents in Boston. My mom had stage 4 cancer for 2 years, and then I went to visit her in early November. She had a stroke 2 days later, and then she lost the use of her right arm and her right leg. And so I stayed with her until she ended up passing. So I took her through hospice, and it was an incredibly powerful, beautiful, painful, horrifying portal that I experienced. But I learned a lot about what it is that I want in my life moving forward. And it's like partner, like real deep, magical fucking love, and like building a family and having kids and like doing that. You know, and like really building that, and like, you know, being selfless. I've been mostly worried about myself for the last number of years. Right now it's like, okay, let's build something and really start providing and caring for, you know, the other in a beautiful way. So that's sort of my next foray. Yeah,
well, that's exciting. You're in a great city to find love.
I agree.
You know, San Diego is a great place for that, I think.
Yeah, it's been
depending
beautiful.
on the person.
That's true.
I'm excited for you. I think you're going to love it here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do too.
So how can people work with you? Tell us about that.
So all the sites basically lead into the one main area. So Get Natural Jackson is my social handles. And then you can go to jacksonhightower.com, naturaljackson.com, and they all lead to the Ever Vital program, which I've established, which is basically this, you know, biological and behavioral optimization program for men. To get them into their bodies, but also understanding their bodies in a very deep level. It's a high touch program, so it's you work with you know, me like you know, twice a month we'll have calls, and it's, you know, it's very hands on as I really want to see people thrive and grow. So yeah, and that's where they can find me, and there's just one link, then it takes people and they can fill out the form, and we go from there.
Perfect. We'll link it below. Full upgrade.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Love
Thank you so much.
with you. This is great.
Yeah.